I know this lady that seems to be really on point with whatever she chooses to do, and remarkably talented. And her name's Melanie Berner. I don't think she's here tonight, but she made this sculpture. I've worked with. Yeah. And she gave me this sweater. This is how sausage gets made. And someday we won't remember any of this. We are in the desert on the 43-yard line. I grew up next to that tree. I grew up inside of the house that used to be to the side of that tree. I got older and bigger with heavier hands inside of the house that used to be to the side of that tree. I can't be sure exactly where it was that I grew up. It's been nearly at least 3 years since I stopped following the word grocery with the word store. In some misguided effort to affect whoever I'm speaking to into believing that I yield some old world urban East Coast sensibility that you can't simply pick up at Sarah Lawrence. I'm not sure precisely when I stopped hoping others would believe all of that. Now I simply like the way it sounds. I've went off to the grocery, Josiah. Hammocks mostly go unused, like gag gifts or letter openers. When I imagine what that must be like for them, I think, you've done this to yourself. This is how sausage gets made. You can follow the years and life of a tree by its rings, but only after you've cut it open, like the footprints of a hammer. Someday the idea of jealousy will come around. Sometime in her 80s, she'll realize how foolish she's been all of these years. She wasn't a late bloomer, but a continuous blossom. She'd been the prettiest all along, yet short-sighted insecurity kept her from making all those nasty mistakes that ruined the lives of all the debutantes she grew to pity. Still, she never did pursue her dream of singing, even when her parents encouraged her after she left her career as a secretary. This is how sausage gets made. There must be a word in French for all of this. Please don't try your hand at French. You'll just fracture this delicate portrait I'm painting. I know it's not as hard as growing old, but it isn't easy to grow unyoung. Wherever you're from, you've undoubtedly had a second-grade field trip where you were pointed towards some great ball of yarn or statue of a man you were assured never had slaves. In Colorado, we visited a mountain that proved dinosaurs came. It was the same year that I learned dinosaur was a word that could never be spelled right, even for Stephen Swanson, whose mother cut the bottoms of his ill-fitted shirts and re-sewed them by folding the bottom fringe of a t-shirt that always became unkempt by tucking it to the back so that it looked like it was made for his stupid body. We were told many facts about minerals, about stars combusting and carbonates, and other things we had to pretend we could believe with colored pencils over maps. I took great pride in knowing that dinosaurs had chosen Colorado to die. There is so much to be proud of when we attach the word we, when we live on our planet. Final resting place of the Diplodocus, my home state of Colorado. It's comforting to me to know that when I die, no matter where, I will always have had a home state. There will be records to show that while I may have died in Tallahassee, I was only there on business and hated it to the bitter end. Diplodocus should be so lucky. Instead, we've rewritten his whole life. We don't even really know what the bastard looked like. This is just one of many modern tragedies disguised as conveniences inherent in being human. The quintessential American chip, Mark Twain, once said something really cool about this. I wish I could remember what it was. You become who you have became in tiny phrases in between saying hello, thank you, you're welcome, thanks and goodbye, pardon me and no, but I'll take it. In between great pauses of confusion, you or I, we will realize in the dusk of partitions of brief encounters with strangers, we will delineate and actualize ourselves with those that surround us. We will lose our way and become lost only to re-emerge with the profundity that marks the end of every Disney movie. We will jettison great anchors from within ourselves. And in that same great tradition of cliched bullshit Disney magic, while we may give pause for great sorrow to mourn what's died within us, there is solace in knowing things cannot be any other way. Sometimes the best songs are the ones that make you feel the worst. We may never see each other again, or even worse, we will, and we'll wonder why we did instead of keeping each other embossed in memory as beautiful landscapes of the halcyon days. You may lose a limb, or I get married in Senegal. But probably neither of us anything as romantic as heroin in the 60s. In our last days, should we be so lucky to see them ahead of us right before we expose the rings inside our trees, we'll not cross each other's minds even for a moment. It seems impossible now. Someday we won't remember any of this, today, the day before, or after. That these days will have left some watercolor decay on the picture of our lives. Our lives in the desert on the 43-yard line. This is how sausage gets made. Thanks.